In this video, we're going to create a responsive navigation bar. This navigation bar, also known as a menu, will be placed at the top of a web page. The actual name in web geek speak is top navigation or top nav. This top nav will be responsive, that is, the size, structure, and characteristics of the navigation bar will change based on the size of the screen that it is displayed on. In this video, we will create a very basic web page and add HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to give the menu the appearance and functionality we seek. All of the code used in this video will be accessible for copy and paste at JSFiddle code hosting site. The link is below in the description. I will be using Notepad++ as my code editing tool. If you wish to follow along using Notepad++ but are unsure how to with Notepad++, I have a short video that will show you how. The link is in the description below. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the finished product first, and then we will build it out. Here's the basic structure of the web page. It consists of HTML, the viewport declaration, calls to 2 CSS files, and a call to JavaScript. And this is what it looks like in the browser. This is it, a full view, and if we shrink it down, you'll notice we get the menu changes. It gives us a hamburger menu for drop down right here. It's important to remember that the hamburger menu, we're going to talk about that for a little bit. And click open, click close. That is the finished product that we're going to look at. Now we're going to build this out now. So first, let's discuss a few things that are on this page. As I know, this is a very basic, very beginning type of tutorial. So let's look at some things here. We have, to make up this, we have the most basic elements to make up this page. So here we have doc type declaration. This is telling us the way this is set up and written. This is telling us that we're using HTML5, which everything built nowadays uses HTML5. And then we have the HTML open and closing tags is the root element of an HTML page. And then of course we have a section for head. And in the section, anything you put in the section is hidden from being displayed in the browser. It contains all your meta information, such as here, your meta title, calls to style sheets, whatnot. All these things are hidden. Not to be confused with header. There is a header that could be used. We're not using it here, but a header would be displayed in the browser. And I'm going to take just a minute. I want to talk about Viewport a little bit. You notice we have our viewports here in the head. And we'll talk about that just for a minute. The viewport varies with the device and will be smaller on a mobile phone than on a computer screen. Before tablets and mobile phones, web pages were designed only for computer screens. And it was common for web pages to have a static design and a fixed size. Many of you listening to this probably don't remember those days. I do remember those days. I started building web pages before we had anything known as responsive or even before we had cell phones. So yeah, I've been building them a while. Anyhow, when we started using cell phones and tablets to surf the internet, these fixed pages became, let's say, not so mobile friendly. Let's just show you what it looks like with and without a viewport. Without a viewport, it would shrink everything down to fit. Once we stuck a viewport in there with a device width and scale of a 1, it gave control over how it was displayed and just didn't shrink everything down as you see in this picture here. Alright, so now we went over the basics of the web page. Let's go into just building this. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the JavaScript call and we're going to remove our CSS call. We're going to leave the main Font Awesome. And oh, I forgot to tell you about Font Awesome. The hamburger menu that I showed you earlier. Let's see if we can show that again real quick. When we shrink this down, it gives us this hamburger. That comes from Font Awesome. Font Awesome is a font and icon toolkit based on CSS and less. And it is both a free and paid service. We're using the free service here. Just depending on your needs, you may free or paid. You just go look at them at fontawesome.com. So there, let's rebuild this page. We're going to rebuild this page. I took the calls out to our CSS and to JavaScript just to show you what it looks like now when I did that. It's not going to be much there. So notice we just got links. We still got the hamburger menu because Font Awesome, we left it in. We left the call to Font Awesome in. All of our styling and responsiveness of the menu is gone once we remove those. So what we're going to do, we're going to put these back in as if we were building the page out. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'll go over a few things about the CSS and JavaScript. But like I said, to copy and paste at JS Fiddle, I left the link below. So let's just go ahead and take all the CSS and let's place it here in the heading. We're going to first, before we place the CSS there, we need to put style tags. So, and we're going to close. Remember, in HTML, if you open a tag, you need to close it. Okay, there's all the CSS that controlled the look and feel of the page. And we're going to want to put the JavaScript in as well. And to put raw JavaScript on a page, you need to put it in between an opening and close script tag. And because this JavaScript's not required to load the page, we're going to put it at the bottom of the page to help with the page speed load. It is a good practice that if you don't need something to load the page, to go ahead and put it at the bottom of your page. When a computer reads or your browser reads a web page, it's reading it just like a book. Left to right, top to bottom. So the less you have loading in the top, the faster your page loads. And it's just important. Google likes fast page speeds. What can I say? So we're going to make a script tag here. And we're going to give it a closing. Remember, if you make an open HTML script, you got to close it. So we're going to put that, and we're going to put all the JavaScript there. And you'll notice we just made a function here that's going to make this responsive. This is the ID it's targeting right here, my top nav. Our CSS is targeting this class here, okay? So that's what we're doing there. You see the CSS up here, top nav's giving it some colors. It's going to float it, do different things. It's going to do various different things. We're not going to go into the different definitions of everything. You can look it over on your own time. But let's just go ahead and save this and rerun this in the browser and see what it looks like. And you'll see there, we now have our styling. And if we shrink it up, we have our hamburger menu. And now we have the ability to open and close that menu with a click. So there we have it. We have our web page built. So now what we want to do, we want to move everything back to its CSS files. We have two folders that we created. We have a CSS folder. We named it CSS. And we have a JavaScript folder, and we named it JS. These are standard file names, file structure names for web pages, websites. And so you should learn how to use them. So what we want to do, we want to get to CSS and everything. We want the style tags and everything. We want to take it all out. From the opening style tag to the closing, we're going to cut that completely out. And we're going to go, we got a main, we're calling this main CSS. It's in our CSS folder. We're going to paste that in there. And we're going to go up and take the style tags out. We don't need the style tags in this one. So let's take it out. And save that. And the same for the JavaScript. We're going to put the JavaScript in. And we don't need the opening and closing JavaScript HTML tags, but we do need to get them off the page, out of this page. So we're taking the whole thing. We'll come over here. We're going to paste it in the JavaScript file. And I named it script.js. And I put it inside the JS directory. Let me just show you those directories real quick. So file, I saved this as, and you'll notice I saved this as a cascading style sheet, CSS. And there's the CSS folder. This is the main directory right here. And then, of course, the JSS one I saved. File, save as. And you'll notice I saved as a JavaScript file. That's what I like about this Notepad++. You can save all these files. There it is right there, JavaScript file. And you'll notice I saved it in the JS folder. So that's really all there is to it. And you notice that once we run this now that we have everything moved, it all looked the same, right? You saw that, right? We're going to refresh. It looked exactly like it did when we had it on our page. And that's all there is to it. So if this has helped you, how about leaving a like, a comment, subscribe, share this with someone, and you have a good day.